When courage came calling, Walter Green never expected to be a hero again. At 67, those days felt like they belonged to someone else, a younger man in a different lifetime. These days, his world was smaller, simpler. His apartment on Oakwood Drive, his afternoon walks with his chocolate Labrador, Bear, the familiar faces at the corner deli, the changing leaves in autumn, the first snow of winter. Bear had been his companion for 6 years now. After Walter's wife, Mary, passed away, the dog became more than a pet. He became family, someone to talk to during the quiet evenings, someone who needed him. Every day at 2:30 they took the same route through the neighborhood. Walter's pace wasn't what it used to be. His right hip bothered him when the weather turned cold. But Bear never minded walking slowly. That Wednesday afternoon started like any other. They were heading home, passing the old brick apartment building on the corner, when Bear stopped suddenly. His ears went up. A low whine came from his throat. Walter paused and listened. At first, he heard nothing but traffic. Then it came faint but unmistakable. A child's voice, calling for help. He looked up. Smoke was drifting from a third-floor window. Without hesitation, Walter moved toward the building. His legs protested, but he ignored them. Bear pulled at the leash, leading him forward. The entrance door was propped open. Inside, the stairwell was filling with smoke. Walter called out as he climbed, following the sound of crying. His lungs burned. His hip ached with each step, but he kept going. On the third floor, he found her. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, huddled in the hallway outside an apartment door. Tears streaked her face. "It's all right, sweetheart," Walter said, his voice calm and steady. "I'm here now. My name is Walter. I can't find my mommy," she sobbed. "We'll find her, I promise. But first, let's get you somewhere safe." He picked her up gently, wrapping his jacket around her small frame. "Hold on tight now." Bear led them back down through the smoke-filled stairwell, one step at a time. Walter's heart pounded in his chest, but his hands stayed steady. That old training never quite leaves you. Outside, fresh air hit them like a blessing. Walter set the girl down carefully on the sidewalk and knelt beside her, checking her over. She was coughing but breathing clearly. "What's your name, honey?" he asked. "Sophie," she whispered. "That's a beautiful name." "This brave dog here is Bear. He's the one who heard you calling." Sophie reached out a small hand and touched Bear's head. The dog licked her fingers, and despite everything, she smiled. Sirens filled the air. Fire trucks arrived. Paramedics rushed over. Walter stepped back, letting them do their work. His part was done. A firefighter approached him. "Sir, you went inside to get her?" "Someone had to," Walter said simply. The firefighter studied him for a moment, then nodded with respect. "You did good." It took Sophie to the hospital to be checked out. Walter gave his information to the authorities and went home. He fed Bear, made himself a cup of tea, and sat in his worn armchair by the window. His hands were shaking now. The adrenaline fading, Mary would have been proud, he thought. She always said he had more courage than sense. 3 days passed. Walter didn't think much more about it. You do what needs doing. That's all. Then came a knock at his door. When he opened it, he found a well-dressed woman standing there, professional, polished. But her eyes held something raw and unguarded. Beside her stood Sophie, clutching a teddy bear. "Mr. Green?" the woman said. "My name is Catherine Wells. This is my daughter, Sophie." Walter's face softened. "Hello, Sophie. It's good to see you looking so well." Sophie stepped forward and hugged him around the waist. "Thank you for saving me, Mr. Walter." Catherine's voice trembled. "Mr. Green, I was at my office downtown when I got the call. I run a marketing firm. We're in the middle of a major presentation." She paused, wiping her eyes. "I almost lost her." "If you hadn't been walking by at that exact moment, but I was," Walter said quietly. "And she's safe. That's what matters." Catherine reached into her handbag and withdrew an envelope. "Please, I want you to have this. It's $60,000. I know it can't repay what you did, but..." Walter held up his hand gently. "Ma'am, I appreciate the thought, but I can't accept that. Catherine stared at him. I don't understand. Didn't save your daughter for a reward, he said. I saved her because she needed help, and I was able to give it. That's enough for me. But you risked your life. I did what anyone should do, Walter said. What I hope someone would do for my own grandchildren if they needed it. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. Then please, let me help you in some way. There must be something. Walter thought about the veterans he knew. Men and women who'd served their country and come home to struggle in silence. Good people who needed support but were too proud to ask for it. There's a place downtown, he said. The Veterans Support Center on Madison Avenue. They help folks who've served. Counseling, job assistance, housing help. They're always running short on funding. If you really want to help, that's where your generosity would matter most. Catherine nodded slowly. I'll call them tomorrow. You have my word. She kept that word. In the weeks that followed, Catherine became one of the center's largest donors. She organized fundraising events, connected them with other business leaders, made sure veterans in the community got the support they deserved. But more than that, she and Sophie became part of Walter's life. They visited regularly, brought dinner on Sunday evenings, took walks with Walter and Bear through the neighborhood. Sophie loved hearing Walter's stories not about the fire, but about simpler things. What life was like when he was young. How he met Mary. The places they'd traveled together. The lessons he'd learned along the way. One evening, as they sat on Walter's small porch watching the sunset, Catherine said, "You changed my life, Mr. Green, not just by saving Sophie, but by showing me what really matters. I was so caught up in success and achievement that I'd forgotten to simply be present." Walter smiled. Took me a long time to learn that lesson myself. Sometimes life has to slow us down before we can see clearly. Sophie was playing in the grass with Bear, her laughter bright in the cooling air. Catherine watched her daughter, and Walter could see the gratitude shining in her eyes, not just for Sophie's life, but for this new understanding of how to live it. That's the thing about kindness, Walter thought. It doesn't just save lives. Sometimes it teaches us how to live them better. As the evening shadows grew longer and the first stars appeared, Walter felt a deep sense of peace. He thought of Mary, of all the years they'd shared, the values they'd tried to live by. Service, compassion, showing up. When you're needed, the world might seem complicated these days. But the truth Walter knew was beautifully simple. We're here to take care of each other, to do the right thing when it needs doing, to give without counting the cost. Everything else is just noise. And sitting there, new friends beside him and his faithful dog at his feet, Walter knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be.